Welcome back to part 3 of the Algae Scrubber episode. We installed the Santa Monica brand algae scrubber on the 180-gallon glass coral reef tank last Saturday. This will be our first service visit to clean the tank since we've installed that scrubber, and I thought I'd do a little follow-up and see how well it's working. Maybe with some luck, it's eliminated all the algae already, huh? So as you can see, we've still got algae in the tank, but then again, it's only been 3 days, and I assume that we're probably a little overly expectatious. For those of you who have just joined us, we installed the Santa Monica brand algae scrubber onto this 180-gallon reef tank just last weekend. The scrubber essentially is a 24-inch long, I'd say maybe 4-inch wide acrylic box that's got two lamps clamped to either side of it. Those lamps or lighting enclosures have two T5 bulbs inside there, and essentially it's just going to grow algae on a screen that runs down the center of the scrubber. That screen is attached to this rod, which is receiving water that we're pumping in there. And I'm not sure if you can see, but maybe a little bit of the reflection there. You can see there's a little bit of algae that's beginning to grow on the screen already. Keep in mind, it's only been 3 days. This rod has a screen slid through a slit through itself, and that screen is what the water itself rains down upon. And then those lights that I referred to illuminate this screen horizontally, and those lights are exclusively just for that screen. So this unit receives its water from a pump that we place down in the sump. It's a small submersible pump, does about 750 gallons an hour, which is what this unit requires to run. That water in turn then drops down via a bulkhead on the underside here with a pipe that water in turn then spills into the reservoir itself. As with any type of algae filter, the basic idea is that we're using or trying to encourage the growth of algae to compete or consume the same nutrients that the nuisance algae inside the tank are feeding upon. In this particular case, we're trying to grow them in that little algae scrubber unit down below. Now, 2 comments I want to make. One, you need to have X amount of time that the lights are on in the algae scrubber, and the instructions indicate about 18 hours. At the same time, you want to set that time frame where the lights are on in the scrubber to be the opposite of what they are in the tank. And the reason for that is as the photosynthetic processes occur due to the illumination of those algae, they're going to either consume carbon dioxide and give off oxygen, or consume oxygen and give off carbon dioxide. The end result is going to be a swing in the pH in the aquarium. To minimize that swing, again, we've set the lights in the algae scrubber the opposite time as in the tank, so that it should equalize out that pH swing due to the consumption or respiration of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The second thing that you want to know is you don't just hook up the unit, plug it in, and pump water into it. You have to go in there and you want to harvest the algae that are growing on that screen. And the idea being that algae, like any other living organism, have a series of phases in life. There might be an infancy phase, there might be a growth phase, there might be a reproductive phase, and then a dying off phase. We want to have the algae growing on that screen, which are in the most aggressive growth format possible, We obviously don't want the reproductive aspects in there. So what we're going to do is go in and harvest or scrape off the algae off that screen. And that'll accomplish a couple of things. One, it'll force the algae to aggressively begin to grow again, which is going to consume nutrients. And two, the algae that we are scraping off will have consumed nutrients already. At that point, we're now going to be physically removing them from the tank. So now, knowing that we've got to remove that rod, the installation of this unit is important, because here's the rod. Now we'll shut it down. There's a union fitting right here that we can loosen. Then you would end up taking this lid off, which in turn allows you to grab a hold of that rod and lift it out, take it over to the sink and clean it. So at this point, again, it's only been 3 days. Operation-wise, it seems to be working fine, and I'm impressed. We'll return in 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll begin to see a decrease of the algae inside the tank itself. And at the same time, we'll also go ahead and clean the screens on there so you can see how that's done. So make sure to come on back in just a few minutes. For me, it'll end up being in just a couple of weeks. So see you in a bit. So it's now been 4 weeks. We decided to skip a couple extra weeks just to give the unit a little chance to kind of begin to do its job. And you can visually see that not only is almost all of the red slime gone, but there doesn't appear to be any green algae growing in there at all. Now there is a little bit of algae growing on the glass, but we would kind of expect that for 2 weeks worth of lack of attention or cleaning. But at this point it certainly appears as though the algae scrubber has competed with and seems to have eliminated most of our algae problems in the tank. What I need to do today is not only service the tank, but I want to go through and clean the screen on the algae scrubber and show you what the maintenance portion of having the algae scrubber is. But at this point, I would have to say that I'm pleased and impressed with the addition of the algal turf scrubber, in this case the Santa Monica algae scrubber, and within a month it seems to have eliminated what could have been the beginnings of a really naughty or nasty algae problem in our reef tank.
Give me just a moment here to clean the inside of the aquarium and vacuum the gravel, as well as do a 20-gallon water change. And now we can address the algae scrubber.
So I wanted to show you the algae that's developed around the screens down inside the unit. And you can see that algae growth that's forming on the screen and collecting at the bottom of the tray or trough there. And it's those algae that are competing against the algae in the tank and consuming, or in this case, out-consuming the algae in the tank for the nutrients that they were or are using to grow with. So the whole point is to grow competing algae down here inside the algae scrubber, and then occasionally harvesting the algae, which physically removes those nutrients out of the system. And since those nutrients have been removed, algae in the tank don't get a chance to grow. So we've turned off the pump that supplies the water to the algae scrubber. It's got this union fitting here on the end. We're going to go ahead and loosen that, and that's what supplies the water to the screen that's inside there. And then we can just lift this screen out. And you can see here the algae that have grown upon it. There's also this little rubber stopper that we can put in here to plug the drain out of the unit, and that in turn we can kind of clean some of the loose algae that's fallen off out of here. That would be some of those slime algae, or turf algae as they refer to them as.
Tropical Fish Hobbyist magazine has been the authoritative source for aquarium keepers since the first legendary issue rolled off the presses in 1952. With informative articles month after month about the fascinating world of freshwater aquariums, saltwater setups, paludariums, ponds, and more, illustrated in crisp detail by the world's top aquatic photographers. TFH covers it all. And now, with subscriptions starting at $13.95 and a mobile digital edition you can take with you wherever you go, TFH is your ultimate resource for all things aquatic. When in Los Angeles, make it a point to stop in Long Beach, California at Age of Aquariums, 2642 Cherry Avenue, just off the 405 freeway near Signal Hill. At Age of Aquariums, their knowledgeable staff showcases designer aquariums featuring colorful corals and exotic fish, a spectacular four-sided 500-gallon living coral reef, along with a wide selection of coral frags and a large selection of saltwater fish, the cute, the graceful, and the not-so-cute. Age of Aquariums also carries a selection of popular freshwater fish for the beginning hobbyist. Along with a full line of aquarium supplies and supplements, Age of Aquariums quarantines and medicates all their new fish and proudly provides LA and Orange County's largest aquarium maintenance service. Age of Aquarium is located at 2642 Cherry Avenue, just off the 405 freeway near Signal Hill. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays. For more information, dial 562-438-6252 or visit ageofaquariums.biz.
Hello, my name's Jim Stein. I'm the LA Fish Guy. Would you like to learn more about marine aquariums? Are you willing to travel to learn more about marine aquariums? Well, this coming September 9th, 10th, and 11th, the Greater Iowa Reef Society is hosting MACNA 2011. That's the Marine Aquarium Conference of North America. And again, it'll take place September 9th, 10th, and 11th of 2011 in Des Moines, Iowa. They've asked me, Jim Stein, the LA Fish Guy, to come give a presentation, so you know it's going to be a winner. Make sure to schedule yourself appropriately though, because I'm the first presentation that Friday morning at 10 o'clock. Here's how to gather more information. So you can see here the algae that are growing on the screen, and what we want to do is harvest or shave off the algae. We don't want to sterilize or over clean this, because if we leave some algae on there, it serves as the spore or the seed to grow more algae. So we're going to remove, let's say, 95% of that, and we'll do that simply by
snipping the plastic cable ties that hold the screen into the slit that's already pre-cut into the bottom of the PVC pipe. That slit in the bottom of the PVC pipe not only serves as the holdfast for the screen, but it's also the exit for the water you've been pumping into the pipe.
We'll take this card here, like a credit card. It's just a name badge from a conference I attended once before. And all we're going to do is just run that across the screen. Shaving that algae down to one end. And this way, this is the screen that I've shaved the big chunks of algae off, and the algae remaining on there will serve as the seed or the spores for growing more algae, which in turn absorbs more nutrients.
And that's the whole point of the algae scrubber, is to encourage the growth of algae, in particular on the screen, and those algae consume the nutrients that the nuisance algae in the tank are also feeding upon. Ultimately, one outcompetes the other. Here what we're doing is we're physically now removing those algae that hold those nutrients, and now they're being physically removed out of the aquarium.
And so if I didn't make it clear once before, this algae here that we've scraped off the screen, as it grew, it consumed phosphates and nitrates and other such nutrients. It's locked those nutrients up inside this algae, and we have now physically removed it from the system. Not only the algae, but the nutrients that it absorbed. And so at this point, we'll just kind of some people say you could dry this out and feed it to the fish as food later on, but at this point, I've got those nutrients out of the system. I don't want to put them back in, so I'm just going to end up washing this down the drain. But it's this algae here, turf algae, that consume the nutrients in the system and basically starve the nuisance algae that we had before of their food source.
Once we've scraped the algae from that nylon screen, we can then take the screens back and slide them into the slit that's already pre-cut into the PVC pipe. The slot or slit, again, is not only the exit for the water that's being pumped into the PVC pipe, but it's also the area that holds the screen in place. Along with some cable ties, we can secure those screens so that they'll remain within that slit and thus dangle from the PVC pipe as we place it back inside the algae scrubber.
And there we've reattached the screens inside the slot that the water is going to come from the pipe through the slot and then down across the screens. Use some simple cable ties to secure those on there. So this is ready to go back into the algae scrubber and start doing more work. And now we'll take that pipe with the screen attached to it, secure it back into its little set of slots there. We can connect the union fitting back onto the outside, tighten it, and we should be able to just go ahead and plug the pump back in, and the water is now spraying back across those screens, thus going to grow more algae on the screens. And of course the effluent, or what wants to leave the scrubber, exits through that drain down at the bottom and then back into our sump, where ultimately it's pumped back up into the tank. And then we'll go ahead and put our little lid back on side there so we don't illuminate the filter area and grow algae in places we don't want it to. So now I need to go ahead and change the micron sock and clean the cup for the protein skimmer.
And with the skimmer, the sock, and the scrubber maintenance needs dealt with, we can now go ahead and replenish that 20 gallons of water back into the tank, finishing up this aquarium service.
So the bottom line, to me, this is the first product I've come across in my entire time I've been in the aquarium hobby that actually did what it said it's going to do, and in this case, eliminate an algae problem. I've tried the GFO, the coffee grounds looking stuff. I've tried the Johnny Cat denitrate stuff. I've even tried the growing caulerpas in a filter, but I've never had the results that I've had in 4 weeks with this algal turf scrubber. So you can contact Brian at Santa Monica Algae Scrubbers, and I'll list the website and the telephone number here at the end of the video. But I would have to say this is a product that I actually believe works, and I've seen the results, of which, by the way, it may be a new product, but it's not necessarily a new idea. Algal turf scrubbing's been around for a long time. Just happens to be that the Santa Monica algae filter is a retrofittable version that you can add to your current system, And that's probably the biggest appeal to it. You don't have to revamp or buy a whole new system. You can just add this onto the system in your way or in the way that we've done. So I have to admit, I'm quite pleased with the results here, and I know the homeowner and the happy aquarium owner is very pleased. So as with always, you should do as we do, and that is keep moving forward, exploring and trying new things. And when you find something that works, tell your friends about it.